I'm Elle Mejia, a landlord, investor, and retail leasing professional. I've completed high-level transactions for retailers in markets across 5 continents. On my way to building a multi-million-dollar real estate business, I'm curating advice from women who are killing it across the globe and sharing those conversations with you. You can absolutely run your business, run your household, and run your life without running yourself into the ground. Welcome to This Girl Sells Real Estate. Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast, a podcast where we feature conversations with incredible women in real estate. And today I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest, Melissa McClendon. Melissa is actually a realtor in New Orleans, Louisiana. She is an award-winning, multi-million top-producing realtor, closing out 2019 with 54 transactions and $7.2 million in sales. She's an active member of various local organizations in New Orleans and credits her success to wanting to make her daughters proud, showing them you can work hard, be consistent, and be successful. So thank you so much for joining us today, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, so we had an opportunity to actually meet in person very briefly on a 2-day run that I had to New Orleans. We were trying to put a store on Royal Street.
Right.
So usually I don't have firsthand knowledge of the professionalism of the women that I get to speak to. But in your case, I can actually speak firsthand to how absolutely lovely and professional you were and how you told me to go back to my hotel and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
So how is it right now in Louisiana? I know that you guys are quarantined as well as we kind of go through this crazy time right now.
Yeah, so it's a crazy time. Of course, everyone's staying put. And real estate is still going on. So we are trying to work as safely as possible because we are considered essential people. So still working, but working safely.
How have you been able to transition some of your day-to-day practices? I know everyone's taking Zoom calls now. Have you taken advantage of a lot of the virtual house tour platforms and that sort of thing to make sure that business stays afloat?
I'm doing Zoom. I use Zoom every day for different, whether it be virtual tours. So I'm trying my best to go into virtual tours and not showing as much. But sometimes we have to. But when we have to, we're wearing a mask, wearing gloves, trying to. But as much as possible, just doing everything virtually. So this is a whole new world for me. I'm not the most tech savvy person. So now,
and a whole new world I find for so I find that I'm a little more tech savvy than the regular person. I'm not an expert by any means, but it's also having to explain to your clients and the people that you're dealing with every day how to use that same technology as well. Right. So it's their learning curve too, right?
Yeah, right. But it's showing you that there's so much that you can do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's opening up a whole new world.
I realized, I think in the last few weeks with the number of things that I've had to Google to figure out how to troubleshoot or make work, I'm like, you know what? The world is at our fingertips. We can do anything.
Right.
We can do anything and the information is out there. So that's been really, I think it's a silver lining, that lesson that everyone's picking up from this.
Right.
But that you can do anything attitude, it kind of seems to be a theme, like a recurring theme in your career as well. So I definitely wanted to have a conversation about just how you ended up where you are in real estate right now. You are phenomenally successful in your market, but of course that took some work to get there. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
It did. It took some work. I don't have the perfect journey. I am a teenage mother who actually got into real estate because I, got divorced. So I was trying to figure out how to sell my house because I wanted a new start for my children, for my daughters. I wanted them to see something different. So that was why I got my real estate license. I never thought it would be a business for me or a way to make money. It was just something I got into from a difficult situation. So I turned something difficult into something good. And that's my story.
And being an example for your daughter seems to be a huge motivating factor for you in terms of pushing you towards the success that you've achieved. What lessons have you learned in kind of balancing the sacrifices that you have to make in order to run a successful business with still being able to be there as a mom? I know that like mom guilt is a really big thing. I know it's something that I deal with and that a lot of women in the industry deal with. And with that being such a big why for you, how do you have that balance?
Well, I'm still working on that balance. So I think I think it's something that you're always working on. But I try to be a mom first because that's what's most important. And now my daughters are older, but when I first got into real estate, they were younger. So I tried to put them first, and also I use real estate as a way for them to see me being that woman that I wanted them to be.
So how old are your daughters?
Right now, my oldest is 20 and my youngest is 18.
So this is going to be me asking you personally for advice. So my son is 9. And just what you said just now, a way for them to actually see you working. So to be able to see that when you put the work into something that you're passionate about, that you can build success off of that. That is what I say to myself a lot of the time when that mom guilt starts to creep in. And I try and remind myself that the lesson that he's learning from having a mother who works as hard as I do is going to benefit him later in life. Right. How have you seen that benefit your daughters at the stages that they're in right now, at 20 years old and at 18 years old? Do you see the sacrifices that you made reflect in how they take on their schoolwork or they take on anything else that is in their lives?
Oh, absolutely. My oldest daughter is a licensed realtor. So,
oh, wow. So you're seeing it directly.
Yeah. And then my youngest daughter, she wants to get her license this summer. And just in their work ethic, I see them working and being independent, and sometimes just how they manage their money, different things they do that I realize, oh my God, they really were watching what I was doing. When they're younger, you're looking, you're like, I don't know. But as they get older and they take on their own personality and they become young women and men, you start seeing them become adults and you see those things you instilled in them start to come out. So I definitely see it. They're very independent. They're very responsible. And every day I just look at them and I say, my gosh, I can't believe that they turned out this well.
And now they're going to be your competition.
Yeah. My goal is for them to be a part of my team because, of course, they have their other career aspirations, but I really want them. I think real estate is something they should always be involved in, whatever career they choose. So I talk to them a lot about that, and I tell them how, my oldest wants to be a doctor, but I tell them how doctors are still investing in real estate.
Oh, yeah.
So they're learning no matter what, this should be another option for you and another stream of income.
So I'm on the retail side myself, but I mean, most of the medical clinics that we put up, and when we're filling medical buildings, a lot of the time the people spearheading those projects are doctors who have invested in practices themselves. I deal with very few dentists now that are actually dentists in their own practices. They set up a practice and they go, and they set up a practice next year and they go, and they're really in the business of real estate. I think a lot of people realize that that's where the money is.
Yeah, it's a great stream.
Community involvement has also been kind of a cornerstone of how you've built your success. And I had to actually write this down. So I'm going to read off the things that you're involved in. So you were the president of the Women's Council of Realtors in New Orleans, but you're now the president-elect of the Women's Council of Realtors in the entire state of Louisiana, correct?
Correct.
You're a member of organizations like Habitat for Humanity's Women's Build, the Junior League of New Orleans, the National Black MBA Association. Is it NAMI New Orleans or NAMI New Orleans?
NAMI New Orleans.
NAMI New Orleans. The French Market Corporation. Like, what does this involvement do for you personally and professionally? Because clearly, with as much as you have on your plate right now, that's coming from a place of passion. That's coming from a spirit of service. It's not something that you necessarily need to do to be successful. But why is that important to you?
Honestly, I feel like success is when you're helping something that's bigger than yourself. So if I'm just helping myself and my immediate family, that's great. But if I'm helping the community, I'm really serving a purpose. So that has always been my heart. I didn't always look at it that way, but I always had a heart for giving and serving. And I think that's a big part of why I've been successful in real estate. But I've always looked at it as let me help others, because that's really what true happiness, in my opinion, comes from. It's when you're helping other people besides yourself, and you can put a smile on someone else's face, or you can see a difference in a community because of something that you have done or helped with. So to me, that's the only true success. It's helping others and helping something bigger than you.
Where does that spirit come from for you, do you think? Is that something that you brought into real estate with you, or is that something that you've learned to tap into as your business has grown and as you've started to attain those levels of success?
I think it's something, I learned from my parents. So my mother always was just one that gave and helped others and helped, and she still does. So I think I saw that just like my kids see me working hard and being a businesswoman. I think I saw my mother serving and being a person that was always giving and always helping. So I got that heart from her. And I think, it's something that I think has helped me tremendously, and it makes a difference in who I am as a person.
So you mentioned your mother as being one of your, I guess you'd say, your role models in terms of and who you're modeling when you talk about your spirit and when you talk about that spirit of service. In the actual real estate sphere, are there women that you look up to who you feel would have mentored you or who have been role models to you, whose footsteps you followed in? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first got into real estate, my previous broker, who I worked for 5 years, was someone who mentored me from the very beginning, kind of taught me most of what I knew, and really took on like a sister figure of helping me along the way. And the state president of Women's Council of Realtors, I always looked at her from afar. She was just such a class act, and she raised her 2 sons by herself. So I always admired her.
It's always interesting because I find that a lot of people like that, they don't realize the inspiration that they're providing to women who they haven't even met.
Right.
And it also, it makes you wonder what impact you're having on people on the planet who you haven't even met. So people that are looking at your story, who are listening to this interview, or who follow you on Instagram, and who you've inspired just by doing your best to build a business that you've done, and by raising 2 daughters to be successful as well. It's interesting to think about that and to note that as you're going about your day-to-day. Sometimes that gets lost.
It does. It gets lost. And you should always be living your life as if somebody's watching, because people are watching. And
somebody's always watching.
Somebody's always watching. And you would be surprised who you help, on a day-to-day basis, just by being you.
Exactly.
Some people, not everybody has a role model, their mom or a friend or anybody they can look up to. And sometimes you are that person. Yeah.
So that was the president of the Women's Council for Louisiana.
Yes. And then from afar, I mean, there were some agents that I didn't know personally, but I would see them on Instagram, or Brandy Hunter Lewis in Atlanta. I met her at a conference I went to when I first got into real estate. And she just took me on the side and told me something. She didn't even know me, but she told me some things that helped me throughout my career. And I follow her. She's got a podcast called Mama's on the Move. She's a single.
Called what?
Mama's on the Move.
Mama's on the Move. Okay.
She raised her 3 sons by herself for the most part, and she was somebody that always encouraged me and motivated me. So that there you go. People that don't even know that you're watching.
So for the people who are watching, for women who are really coming into real estate now, if you could have that moment with them, the same moment that she had with you, bringing you outside of the conference and just speaking a few words of encouragement or of advice into you and into your business, what would be the advice that you gave to other women that are coming into the sphere right now? I
would say, number one, always be authentic, because you want to attract people that are like you, in the same path as you. So just be you. You don't need to be anyone else. You can always take something from another agent and use that as something that you can model, but always be yourself. And also, I think, never chase money. Always work on serving people. There's a quote that says, if you help enough people get what they need, then you will always have what you need. So don't chase money, but actually work on serving people and helping people, and the money, the success, all of that will always come.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing advice. So what's next for you? Where should we be looking out for you, and what's next on your plate, especially as business opens up? I think everyone's just kind of chomping at the bit to get back to work.
So now, I mean, one of my goals for this year was to start investing more myself. So that's where you'll probably see me just trying to find deals more for myself, and trying to expand my own real estate empire, and get my daughters more involved. I would like to become.
That must be so exciting for you to be able to have your daughters be a part of it. What is the team? Do you guys have a team name yet?
It will probably be Team McClendon or something with the McClendon name, but I'm looking forward to that and kind of grooming them and helping them, because I realize, I want them to be better, and I want them to take this and run with it and be beautiful, not just successful money-wise, but just overall, just beautiful young ladies. So that's what I'm working on now.
And they're going to be so lucky to be able to have you as a resource as they navigate that too. A lot of us have to navigate it ourselves.
Yeah. I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, that's what you'll see me investing more. I'd like to do more motivational speaking and just gearing towards other female entrepreneurs and just being a blessing to others.
Well, I mean, you've definitely been a blessing to, I think, more people than you realize, not just your daughters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I know that everyone's schedules are a little packed right now as we kind of pivot through all of this, but just taking a few minutes to talk to me and talk to this audience, I think it's so important for women in this industry to hear the voices of other women who are doing exactly what they're aiming to do as well, and who are successful at it and who have a story to tell. So thank you so much for joining us today, Melissa.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me.
And people can find you on your Instagram. That's your Instagram handle right there, Melissa_McClendon.
Right.
And certainly if you're looking in, I mean, I'm sure you can actually trade across the state of Louisiana, not just New Orleans, right? Yeah, so hit her up, absolutely. And like you said, she's looking to mentor women and to move into this stream as well. So maybe this is a market for you to do so. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. We'll be back next week with another conversation with another phenomenal woman in real estate. If you have a moment, please take a chance to subscribe to this channel on whatever platform it is that you're using, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. It's a little bit of time for you, but it does help us out a lot in the long run. And you can also find us online at pgwrealestate.ca. Thanks so much for joining us again. I'm your host, Elle Mejia, and we'll speak soon.